Good day, viewers. Welcome to our show, Campus Reflections. And the conversations continue, carrying over from what we discussed last week. And today we have another topic, and I have some new faces again in studio. Our new topic today is the struggles of a parentless student. So we're going to unravel and actually unearth some of the dilemmas that they face. But first things first, let me introduce you my guest today. I will start with Mr. Ronald. He's not a regular, but I think this is his second time. Welcome, Mr. Ronald.
Yeah, thank you so much for the honor again. So this is my second time. You know me, I'm a law student at the University of Zimbabwe. I'm also a youth advocate and educator and a journalist as well, writing for the Herald. So I'm really interested in education. So that's why I'm part of this platform to advance education. So thank you once again, sir.
Makatopenga mdarem. Muri law student, muri advocate, muri chi as
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Okay, let's welcome Vanessa. Tell us about yourself.
Thank you so much, Latwell. My name is Vanessa Mutirori. I'm a journalism student at the Christian College of Southern Africa, known as COSA. Unlike my colleague here, but I'm super excited to be here. Thank you so much.
Welcome. And today we are joined by Dr. Abraham Matuka. Probably you may need to tell us yourself, then welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lato. I'm Dr. Abraham Matuka. I'm the director at an organization called Teen Rescue Mission, which stands to fight against drug and substance abuse, early pregnancy and crime. And I've got this passion on the young people, and it's something that I'm so excited to be here at the program to talk about the issues that goes on with the young people.
Perfect. So probably we have people with different backgrounds here. And these conversations, they continue and continue. And it doesn't mean that we're going to bring some solid solutions here, but it's a discussion that we think we need to bring. And to begin with, I would want to hear, being at campus or being at university, it doesn't mean that you're only there to write assignments. And it doesn't mean that you're only there to move around and stuff. There are many issues that are behind every student. But we're looking at a student who doesn't have parents. What do you think? Can they perform well? Can they do well? Your take on that, if you come across such a student?
Yeah, actually, I've come across many. So I want to first off start by saying it's not easy being a student and not having that parental support. Because most of the times I look at my life and I feel like without that support system, where would I be? And now to imagine someone else like me, just young and unaware of the real world out there without any experience or even a job, to begin to actually be on your own as a student, navigating your education and life becomes like chasing two rabbits. You can only catch one. So it's a problem that we need really to address, because it really does affect students at the psychosocial level. Emotionally, it affects their ability to focus, to perform and even finish assignments on time. So yeah, I would actually say this is a real pandemic.
But kuno no student that we know but still the performance is still below par. Because but they actually perform per excellence. Why can't we wait on that? Vanessa, what do you think? Can they perform well or they actually go down?
I think that people come from different backgrounds, right? And sometimes being a student who is parentless does not mean that you don't have both parents. Pane mumwe akarasikirwa one parent and it affects them as well. Koita mumwe kuti they are being raised by vanagogo, vanamainini, and the people are just trying to be there for them. When it comes to their school stuff, surprisingly, most of these students, they excel in school. It doesn't take it being easy. It takes so much resilience, so much strength. But then kana pasina support ya trukutaura iyo, it's very hard for them to prosper in their studies. I think I can relate to a certain extent because my dad passed on, I think some 3 years back. So there are some things that you actually see, Guti. maybe if he was here, I would actually call and say, Dad, I need this, I need that, but I can't. Because at the same time, my mom is there, but she can't fully give me everything that I need. So sometimes I now have to just be by myself and think, how can I balance this situation without stressing my mother as well? But it also takes an emotional toll on me. So yeah, it's a really a tricky situation.
But who is your support system?
Right now.
Probably from whatever, maybe after your dad passed on, and who has been the supporting system for you to be who you are today?
It might seem like a movie, right?
Okay.
But the way that I got to go back to school after such a long time, being home, doing these useless jobs, I just met someone at a workshop, and we were talking, and I had done a short course at COSA. I was passionate about TV presentation, and when I got some money, I just did that course and got that certificate for 3 months. So I went to that workshop, and we were just having conversation. It was a media workshop, and she said, so what are you doing right now? I said, nothing, but I did a short TV course. When I get more money, I think I would like to do a diploma. So she just said, okay, give me your number. I didn't know that she was going to call me and offer to pay my fees. So
Wow.
for fees, she's the one who's been doing the whole fees ever since I started. But then there are some things that I might need, like transport, assignments, and all of that. My family is there, but they're not like completely there because people have responsibilities and they have their own families.
Okay,
You know, so
okay.
it's been a tricky situation trying to balance all of that.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Mr. Ronald, who has been your supporting system?
Yeah, the biggest support system up to now has been mostly my mom.
Okay.
Yes, I understand what Vanessa is trying to say. There are some situations whereby you have both parents. Your dad might be there, but he's not that supportive. There are situations in families whereby the mother is the sole breadwinner. Like in my case, my mother is the only one who gets to work. So basically, I'm just here because of her. That's why I always say my mom, because yes, my dad is there, but like I just see him. He doesn't really contribute much. No offense, but this moment, as we speak, is not actually showing like he cares about my needs and our family's needs. So I'm actually, I feel sorry for actually, even for students without both parents. Because even with one, it's actually tough.
I get you. It gets a little bit emotional.
Yes.
And I can also see maybe you become an advocate just because of the background. We don't know. But we'll hear more from you. Let's get to Mr. Matuka. Mr. Matuka, you understand these things because you've actually met different kids, different young people. They have different problems. And probably the motivation behind you pioneering the Teen Rescue Mission is probably looking at the problems that young people are facing. What is your take on that? Does a lack of parents or parents help in motivating the young people to succeed?
Yeah, very true, Mr. Lato. From listening to both stories from our young people, it's really going hand in hand with what we really come across when we have a session where we are interacting with the young people. Like how we have just seen that the parentless student, we don't only refer to that young person or young girl, young boy, young girl who don't have both parents. One can have both parents, but they don't have time with their children. So that young boy, young girl becomes vulnerable and also will be in the same line with that one who don't have both parents, physical parents at that same time. Because what we are talking about a support system whereby a student really needs someone whom, after school, when he or she gets home, she has someone who's checking on her. What have you done at school? How was school? How, just checking on the performance. Then, that is the support system that we are talking about. So, in our working with young people, we have seen that for you, the parentless thing is touching both children, the one with both parents and the one who don't have parents. This one with parents, the parents are always busy. They don't have time for for their child. So that person becomes a vulnerable. He you just go in the same line with those ones who don't have real parents at hand. So
Okay.
it's just the same.
Okay. Mwanyoro was serious. Yeah, I think it's making sense because we are looking at both sides, those who have parents and those who don't have parents. But let's look at this. How vulnerable are these students who don't have parents? Are they the ones we are seeing engaging blessers, getting into drugs, maybe probably having the marriages at campus? What's your take on that? Do you think they are that desperate?
Yes, yeah, there comes a moment where you become desperate because imagine, because as students we need a lot of things. I once said on the first episode that there is economic vulnerability that just comes from being poor. If your parents are not rich or you are not being given everything, you are vulnerable. So likely, if your parents are not there, or even if they are there and they are not providing or giving you support like he has said, at the end of the day, these students, yes, they do become desperate. And it becomes now our duty as educators, as organizations like Teen Rescue, as advocates, as people like yourself advocating for education, to come in and actually identify these children and see how best can you assist them. Yes, the government has already put in place legislation, but legislation doesn't make sense if the people are not willing to change or to actually be part of it, to change others. That's my take. Yes.
Vanessa, do you think you hold grudges probably, or maybe you feel the pain, or you need to revenge, or you become that desperate, probably because there's not been some other supporting system, or your mother? Do you have any issues, or you feel comfortable there?
Honestly speaking, I think that you have some resentment towards your parents if they are not coming through for you in as much as they are supposed to, because hauna kukumbira kuzvarwa, right?
Okay.
Iwewe utori responsibility yavo, but now ukaita kunge chipmunk just gives birth and just leaves its children to fend for themselves. How do you think I'm going to fend for myself in this tough economy, right? So to a certain extent, I wouldn't blame some of the girls or boys who go on to expose themselves to some of these things, because unoisirwa offer patable, offer yakapenga yekuti unototi but paka 300 akandikakawana izvezvi semester rinori ndine chikwere che 255. You're now weighing your options. So what can I do? But that doesn't make it right. So I think that parents should just do what they're supposed to do. Nyangwe zvakaoma, show that emotional support. Let's say you have some of these students are actually very bright, but hauna munhu wekuti waenda kumba, hauna munhu wekuratidza kuti onai ndine madistinctions for this semester handisi kukera, hauna munhu zvinotori nerole yazvinoplaya even kubvira uchitori mudiki chaiko chaiko. So yeah, I think that parents will just come through when they are supposed to come through, so that the children do not succumb to the pressures of the system.
How often do you have time with your supporting system? Chumbo confide out I or something. Have they been there for you?
I don't. I feel like it has contributed to the way I am as a person. I'm closed off most of the times. Open up to you, I think I really, really like you. So it has contributed to how I am as a person. Such that sometimes I don't know how to accept help because I never got the help. Until just to do a diploma, a stranger had to come through for me. Mama and the school, she's trying her best, but she couldn't take me through school. So and not to jaira kubatsiro. It has affected how I am even right now, even in relationships. Oh my God.
So touching.
So yeah, I think that if not only contribution as you know,
yes, no.
Kuti ndikuda mari airtime and kwanza utongofona kutovaudza kuda I have to think for myself, okay, and spend basa so data safety ndo any airtime you, but sometimes you need the help,
You get you.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Matuka, if all the parents were there for their children, would you think that we have all these problems that we are discussing? Because there is now rampant of drug abuse. You see, relationships are still necessary. They're taking some blessers and stuff. Do you think if all parents were there, would solve this problem?
Yeah, Yeah, this is a difficult thing that we have in our day-to-day living. I think we need to come to a point where we have to understand that we have got a good name for them, that they are Ma2K. They are now different from the those kids, Batai Kurao and everything. There's a lot of things that goes with them, especially panyaya kuti vanotoda a lot of guidance. I think the parents, they need to understand it, that the children of today, they really need their support in terms of finance, in terms of being there physically, and also to guide them. Nowadays, those things are not really happening because, one, the economy, parents are also running around to try and raise money kuti vana vaende kuchikoro, vana vadi. But at the end of the day, if we become so busy kufeeda mwana and all, we have come across cases whereby mwana anowana zvese, but anouya achitaura kuti I don't think I have a father. Why? Because the father is always busy. The mother avari kuya vakaneta, vachingosvika vakutoenda palaptop vakutanga kuita zvekubasa. Mwana wari kuroom kwake, parent yemwana yato internet. So end of the day, mwana is vulnerable to a lot of things that is happening around the world. There's a lot of things that is happening. Saka unaona ma changes akuitika. So if the parents of today, we are able to really understand that these children, they really need our presence, they really need our guidance, they really need us to support them everywhere. Because like how our dear sister is saying, Kuti, she's now used to a point whereby she don't have anyone to she's now used to hustling. I think she can hustle for airtime, for transport money, for fees. So at the end of the day, she can be vulnerable to someone anokwanisa ko abuse her or something like that. So we need to make sure that we are there to give them the support, to make sure we guide them and direct them in their steps of life which they are moving in this time which we are in.
Perfect. It sounds interesting, at the same time emotional. We'll come back to issues to talk about the vulnerability. We want to hear your experiences. Was there any time that you become so vulnerable that you even thought about my decisions as guide? We want to hear from you. Probably we'll talk about this after this short break.
Harare. Tune into the beat.
Capitalk 100.4 FM, your source for news, business, sports, fashion, and more.
Experience the pulse of Harare's culture and lifestyle.
Capitalk 100.4 FM, Harare's top radio station.
Join the conversation with Zimbabwe's top personalities.
Subscribe now for fresh and infotainment content daily.
Capital 100.4 FM, Harare's heartbeat.
Same great news, just a new time. ZTN Prime is taking your evening news experience to a new level. We are bringing you the same high-impact journalism you trust, just a little earlier. Starting now, our flagship news bulletin moves from 8 p.m. to 7 p.m. every Monday to Friday. Stay ahead of the curve before your night begins. ZTN Prime, your news, your time, now at 7 p.m. Don't miss a beat.
Welcome back, viewers. We are still at the Campus Reflection Show, and the conversations, they're getting emotional, interesting. It's neither here nor there. Of course, it will not end here. We want the debates, the conversation to go anywhere. We also welcome your views as well. We'll be sharing some details so that we also hear from you. But well, we are back again, guys. Tutaranya here kuti muna asina mbereki anoperforma here, anoita musikanzwa here, anodzamara kuita sei. Because we are seeing all these people out there behaving in different ways. But can we actually tell we are nambereki, we are nambereki? Omwana utukwa inzi we are nakurairwa. Kokana akasina kamabereki wacho and stuff. But is there any stage that you have become so vulnerable that you have done a decision that is bad?
I wouldn't say I was that vulnerable, but I would say I've experienced much difficulty over an extended period of time.
Okay.
I recall vividly most of my high school, in fact. My A-level, I was a day school. I used to be a boarder. But you know, with Anglican schools, there were so many fees changes, so my parents couldn't afford. And my father wasn't working, you know, he isn't working now. So my mother was the only, the one providing. So I was forced now to become a day scholar. So I remember I moved here to Harare. I come from Monde Valley. So I remember I moved here from Monde Valley to pursue my A-level. I was living with my father's brother, you know. I'm very thankful because he took me at a time when it was hard, you know. But I also remember that I had to do some things, you know, just because I was staying with other people, you know. It's not the same like when you're staying with your parents and they're providing for everything. It's very different. You have to actually show up different, you know. You have to take on extra load, responsibilities. At the same time, I was pursuing my education. You know, sometimes I remember actually during the weekends and actually sometimes during the school days, going with my father's brother, you know, so that we could make money. You know, he's a taxi driver. But it was hard, you know, because I had school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your background sounds a little bit emotional, but it looks like it's one of the sources of your inspiration and motivation as well.
Definitely.
Looking back, sometimes will also help you to fight hard.
Yes.
But probably it will also inspire someone.
Yeah.
Vanessa, you talked about a stranger who assisted you. Were there no conditions? Because you are looking at the supporting system. If the supporting system is not there, you become somehow desperate, or somehow you are desperately in need of something. Were there no conditions? And how often have you faced such or you have rejected? How have you overcome that?
All right. This stranger, I would put it this way. It was God himself. Because it was a prayer that it's something that I'd been manifesting for a very, very long period of time. Like I'm telling you, I'm not Amatuke. I think I finished writing my own novel sometime in 2013, right?
Okay.
And I'm trying to, I wanted also to go to A-level, but I couldn't. So I've just been praying about it, like, God, I would like to do media studies one day, if you can just, you know, open that door for me. So this stranger, I think that it was God himself who came through for me, because I went from a moment of not having anything at all to literally the next day that I paid my fees, like my cup was running over already. But the previous day I was crying and stressing to think, how am I going to do this? And there were no conditions whatsoever. There were no conditions. What she just said was, she wanted me to excel. She probably saw herself in me, because she said, oh, you learned, you did your short course at Corsa. And I said, yes, once. I was once there sometime in 2001, but I didn't finish. So probably she saw herself in me. So there were no conditions. But in terms of being in a place where you are vulnerable to almost accepting something that might cost you your dignity, your values and all of that, of course I was there. You know, I had someone who offered to pay for my fees, to my rent, my everything. And I was like, this seems too good to be true. But when it's presented to you, honestly, I think that it comes to your values as a person. Because I could have just taken it and say, kondinobve ndagara ndiri kutostruggle chinondirwadza kungoti ndingobhadharwa fees yese, rent yese, maholiday destinations ndakaudzwa zvese. But I didn't take that. I could have, but I didn't.
Kuti pocket money to my nice
Like I said, my ways, one way or the other, dinozongo one. But to just give acknowledgement to my mom, in as much as she couldn't be there for me, in terms of school fees and all of that. But not tani school fees. She was like, don't worry about the transport fares and what. In as much as it was not enough some of the times, because wakuda kuprinta ma attachments you just have to make it work somehow by creating relations with vanhu vanoprinta. She's like, wangu ndozokuona next week chichichi otobvuma, and it's moving in as much as it's hard, but it's moving.
It's moving. Ndara makamboshayiwa kana mari yebhazi uri mudzokere pa10.
Yeah.
Mambo stuck in town, musina kana send momwe.
Not really. I don't recall one moment.
Saka mwari wenyu anofamba nini.
Yeah, I always try to walk prepared.
Konye kuti muri pagwazhi pa10 munobva musina mbodya, munoswera pagwazhi hamuna kudya.
Yeah.
Muri marwazi inonzi 001.
Yes.
Mambo iteni muri.
Yeah, it's very common at university. You know, sometimes not because you don't have, but you know the situation at home. For example, I know that at my home things are not like that, where we have only one breadwinner. So I have to manage myself, not because the food isn't there, but sometimes you end up eating maybe just once or twice because, you know, you're trying to save up till the end of the semester. So yes, I've been there. We are all there, to be honest.
Okay.
Trying to make it work.
Perfect.
Yeah.
But do you think universities or colleges, they also realize that kune vana vanotambudzika, nona vasingatambudzika?
Yeah, yes, I think they do realize, but it's not about just realizing, because it comes down to action. Like she was saying, and he was also saying, it comes down to leaders or even just regular people, communities, taking their part in making sure that students who don't have parents or students with parents but who are not there actually supported one or the other.
Mambo dzingirwa fees uri moshaya munhu kuchembera.
No.
Vanessa, if you actually come across a situation where you are supposed to write an exam and there's no money, munhu wako kuti unoda muchimuti vanhu padhuze, wambosangana nesicho chakadaro?
Yeah, zvambosangana nayo, but that was before college. Pekunotoona kuti panapa hapana mari. And some of the people that would come through the very last minute are the people that unenge usingatombo expect, right? So yeah, takatombosangana nawo ma situations akadaro. And what you were saying, kuti, I don't think colleges are doing enough in terms of seeing kuti mwana uyu ane an extra need, kuti mwana uyu akatosiyana nevamwe. They are not really doing enough, because at the end of the day they just expect their tuition fees, they expect their exam fees, you know, avazotarise zvakawanda. I think there was a situation at a certain institution some 2 months back where a student actually took her own life because angaramba angaanza uchanyori, you know, because aunoita sei hauna register, hauna kukwanisa kuwana mari yekuregister, and she took her life because of that. So you can imagine if they had taken time to understand why mwana uyu asati aningirikeni, that situation could have been avoided.
But pane wakambonzwira utsitsi kuti situation iyo inenge iri serious kunda yako. We'll come back to that. Mr. Matuka, you see, there are a lot of issues. Many people, they are judgmental. They rush to blame. As an expert, I think you are always on the ground, meeting different young people, especially those who are in the drugs and stuff. Would you rush to blame them? We are with drugs because they are reckless or hana a responsibility. How then do you assess that? Is it because you also trace back to the background, or you have some ways you evaluate such?
Okay. Yeah, I think this is a serious thing that we as an organization, or myself, I really, you know, value it so much, because anyone akakura ndisina my parents, and I really understand the situation yemunhu anokura asina a support system iri whole, and some of these things, they can be seen, like how you did put up a question, can it be seen? It can be seen, because mwana performance yake mchikoro. I remember myself when I was in class, because I didn't have a parent with me to motivate me, to talk to. By the teacher gavunza question, I couldn't have faith in me. You know, muna sina a support system of parents. I not to oneka kana class. Perform aninga go quiet. It's just like vulnerable. I not feel like I'm very better than me, more of. So munhu akakura ari in that situation, it can even go naye ku-primary, secondary, even atozosvika ku-university. And we are having these cases as well. Zokutoti kuma-universities, especially vari kuma-universities, it's really a serious thing because there's a lot of competition, peer pressure inenge iripo, especially vasikana uyu auya achidropwa naningi, uyu ane phone iPhone 15, uyu ane ari kuendeswa ku-out, uyu ane mari yekutenga grocery, akubhadhara rent. So end of the day, those kids at the university, they are forced kuda kumecha the standard iri kufamba nevamwe kumas campuses. So end of the day, we talk about the boy child. Kuma universities or kuma colleges, we have them getting into drugs because of peer pressure. Anenge akufunga kuti no, kana ndikapinda ma-drugs, I can be cool. That's what they say. You'll be cool. You forget about everything and makulai wakupipidza my levels. Vasikana nao vanenge vachibelieve kuti if I get a blesser, I'll be there. Ndakuendeswa kusaloon, ndakuitwa manicure, ndakuitwa what. So we don't rush to blame those people, especially the young people, when they get into drugs, when they get into early pregnancy, when they get into all those kind of things. We try our best to have time to talk to them, because some of them, they will say, andina munhu ari kundida, and once ndatoma drugs ndakutongoenda ndakutongofamba ndakadaro, because there's no support system here inomubheka kumubatsira kuti mentally akwanise kuwana reform and have a focus in life.
Yeah, perfect. As we wrap up, I want to come to Ronald. Do you think mentorship or maybe guidance, they're important in shaping the behavior of students? Looking at the support system, looking at the issue of the parents or the guardians, and probably what is your recommendation in a few seconds? Yes,
absolutely. Mentorship is vital. You can't go anywhere in life without first seeing someone who embodies what you want to become. For example, I remember in high school trying to write for the Herald. I saw you as my mentor. You were the guide. You have actually influenced some of my writings. That's why I write what I write, because I saw you and I tried to imitate what you were doing, and now I'm also writing now. So mentorship is actually valuable. It goes a long way in transforming individuals, but perhaps I also believe that part of the challenge is for government to introduce more legislative frameworks. Yes, there are still frameworks in place, such as the Education Act under sections 2 and 4, that ensures that parentless children can still be given parents by the state through state-appointed caregivers, through foster parents, through assigned legal guardians. These are all mechanisms working hand in hand with the Children's Act and also the Guardianship of Minors Act of 2022. So they help us to reach a point whereby even parentless children still attend school through those systems. So I believe in this system, specifically the law, and its power to actually champion change. Yeah.
Perfect. Vanessa, you are a female student. You're also a lead. You've come across many stuff. Maybe, do you think having someone to lean on or having a shoulder to lean on is very important in shaping up the life of a student?
Yes, I think it's very important to have someone you can lean on. You cannot underestimate the power that it has to have someone you can lean on and have an accountability partner to say, wangu ka pane chibaba chiri kundioffer zvakati, but handisikuda. You talk to someone, wega unenge une maburdens akawanda, chikoro, a life in general, and everything. And another thing I think that God also should be an important part of your life. He should be your anchor. Because at the end of the day, I think there's a verse in the Bible that says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and are heavy burdened, and I'll give you rest." So the Lord himself, he's the one who can give you rest. Ndiye munhu wekutoti unoita open up to, like I'm telling you my story. Ndikaudza mumwe munhu anotora, because munhu weukama haakwanisi kukubhadharira. So turn it to the Lord and he will give you rest.
Perfect. Probably one day we have a survey on how many students pray to God and say, God, I'm finding this difficult. Take me through this.
Oh, that anxiety, depression, everything.
Well, thank you. Mr. Matuka, take us through, probably in a few seconds, what role are you playing in actually helping the students or the young people who actually don't have the support system, and how are you integrating them to also assist them probably to fight depression, maybe in other stuff.
Thank you, Mr. Latro. Let me just start by recommending our young people here. They've just spoken very well, especially I was feeling like I'm now in church. But anyway, to coming back to you, I think we as Teen Rescue Mission, we are trying our best to engage with young people. Because what's happening is these young people, they really need support, like how you have indicated. They need someone to talk to. Because the environment which you are in nowadays, they are full of things that can, lure our young people to go astray. So we try our best to get into schools, have time to talk to them, because when they see a different face coming to their school, they feel very free than to see a teacher, talking to them to say, uyandikunzwa nyaya kuda kucancela ofunga kuti ndozvataitaura to the other schools kuti yes, schools are doing best kuti vana vacancelwe, but mwana anonetsikana kuti anotaura nyaya yekumba ikwavo kuna ticha zva mangwana ticha vachamira anonge akufunga kuti mangwana pavari kumira teacher lesson vari kufunge vakatasana maziso. But when a private face comes in, it helps a lot. And also we are introducing the peer-to-peer, where we are training young people to talk to their peers, because inini and to say life here, but we've got their age, talking to them on each base, it really helps. So those are things that we are doing, and also doing awareness program. And also we have engaged, like how Vanessa was saying, we have engaged to say, let's get into the spiritual aspect of prayer. No, the generation yakuda kunamata. Yeah, ichada uzokutamba. Saka, I think it's all about engaging God in our nation and in our young people. Thank you.
A great insights from all the points from you guys. The conversation, they get interesting, they get deeper, but because of our time, sometimes we are limited. Viewers, we've come to the end of our show, and we hope to see you in the next episode. I also hope to see you guys again on this same platform to discuss issues that affect young people and the students at campus and off campus. Until we meet again for a toast at the show, I'm Latro Nyang, your host.